Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our new video/podcast. My name is Geier of Mintendra in Vienna. We are currently recording here in Wetzlar, birthplace of the Leica camera, and we're here with my partner Lars Netopil to talk a little bit about our upcoming auction. Good to be here again, no?
Yes.
We have set up everything for our auction on Saturday, October 12th, and are looking forward to what's happening. And we would like to interview you and share a little bit about your story and our story with our audience. So I've got a few questions here and would like, to start with number one. Tell us a little bit about you, your background, where you come from, and.
Well, after being in the camera business, particularly Leica, particularly collectible pieces, for many years, it was always just trading. And for auctions, I was more or less a client myself. And Joe was involved in the auctions for many years as well, almost parallel. And there was one moment when we, however, decided on the basis of our long-term friendship and being colleagues somehow in the same field to generate the WCA auction project, which was already 6 years ago. My God, it's the sixth campaign, and it's sometimes still unbelievable what we created in this short time.
So the first auction was in 2019. It's the sixth auction now. Always extremely exciting, successful, sharing stories, sharing informations with our customers. Is the biggest joy for me, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. We obviously, after being a client for so many years, with auctions generally, we had our ideas what to do and what to do also a bit differently from other places and other people. And the first, I think, aspect is this really reduction on one event per year with just 250 lots about, and really concentrate on the essence of what is really collectible under our point of view.
Yeah, well said, I would say. So going back in the past 5 years, I would say, in our auction world, was there a specific lot or camera or lens that stands out for you personally? Yeah. Is there something which you would like to put in your collection, or you cannot, or you feel sorry that you had to let it go in a way?
Well, the first cover girl, a genuine Leica Luxus on our catalog #1, and nobody expected us to come out with such a piece from zero. This will always remain something really special forever. And this is in a very loving hands now, in a good home where we can travel sometimes and have a look at it still. And this was a fantastic piece, of course. And now we have the sixth cover, but it's not just about the covers. There are so many pieces who are really special. We try to focus on special things, on rare and unusual items, but also on things which have a special story and somehow rarity under several different aspects now. I mean, an original window display from the 1930s, if it's really in good condition, it's not rare like a black MP, not expensive like a black MP, but it's maybe same rare. No, it's even more rare. And this makes the fascination to me, to have really a lot of mixed interests now, that people can find really pieces like to redecorate a shop from the 1950s in their home, and they need the decoration material now, which is today so rare after 70 years or 90 years, almost 100 for the early material like that. And so it's even the accessories, we have so rare things like prototype finders and so on. And always try to give the references. This is an important aspect too, I think, showing this is a piece which is documented on the Wilhelm Albert book, is something which makes it really special to present to our clients, to show the historical background of a piece, even if it's a little finder. It's not everything is just about the big cameras with the big prices.
So it's, as you said, not about just cameras and lenses, and it's also about small pieces and adding small pieces to the collection to make it more complete, or more elegant in a way, you know, to compose an outfit, or as you said, a shop window display, for example. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's not just about the most expensive thing. Yeah.
No, every collector has, everyone who receives our catalog sees our cover girl, but has maybe his personal cover girl in mind. If he browses all the 250 lots, he says, wow, this is my favorite. And we like really to celebrate every of them in a special way, particularly in form of our printed matter catalog, with all the respect to the online, with the 20 pictures per lot and so on. But the pictorial design of the
still different
of the catalog book is really something special, and they are collected already. I know so many people who have them. It's not something which gets disposed like a magazine. It's really part of collection in the Leica literature already. Our catalogs.
Well, collectors are different, obviously, and have different fields as well. So we have about 75% lights and Leica products, obviously in our auction in Wetzlar. But apart from lights and Leica, of course, there are other very interesting fields as well. And we have a small but very fine selection each year in the auction as well. So it's definitely worth a look.
Sure. We had world records on Canon or Nikon, with all the respect to any Leica.
Coming back to this year's auction,
Okay.
Coming back to this year's auction, are there any key lots in the auction that you think are extremely interesting for our collectors?
Well, I talked about the cover girls. Now we had really a hard choice this time, because there are, I would say, 10 pieces which could have made the cover this year, and it was really hard. And so I would start with one which is not the cover or the title of the catalog, but which is so special, which is the wrapped Leica by Christo. It's a piece of art, and it's a Leica camera, and it came to us really by chance when we were producing the image video in the Gallery am Dom here in the old town of Wetzlar, and the people reported to Wolfgang Volz, the Christo photographer, whom they knew for other exhibitions they had with him already in the past, saying, hey, the people with the Wetzlar Camera Auctions, they just used our gallery for a clip for their video. And he said, which camera auction? And wow, I have something to put on auction. And so the piece came to us, we really as a surprise, and it made the most media coverage. There was so much attention about this camera. This is really something special. Also the way as it came to us, but also what happened with the camera. Still, it's here, and we are very curious to see what will happen on Saturday.
Do you have any prediction of what could happen?
Well, we don't know if it's if it will be an art collector or a Leica collector. This is the point. Maybe a person who is both in one, because obviously we have very expensive pieces in the M camera field of the 1960s and 70s. If I look to something, say, produced for the US military or some prototypes, they fetch some substantial amounts in the auctions frequently. And the Christo artworks as well is nothing, say, which is just something in a low price range at all. So here we have something, two factors in one piece and two maybe groups of persons who might be interested and would like to go for it.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm really looking forward to what will happen. I have no prediction, and we're excited for the outcome.
Yes, absolutely.
As is Mr. Foltz as well.
Yeah, Wolfgang will be here on Saturday. It will be exciting for him too, of course.
Besides that extremely interesting camera, is there a camera that you would like personally to own now? Is there anything that excites you the most, I would say?
I think most exciting is the lot number 15. Is the to me is the first hand sample, Barnack hand sample of the camera with a die-cast shutter crate. This was a substantial design change in all the Leica camera production, that from model 3B to 3C it went for a die-cast shutter crate design, which is still the case with the analog M cameras up until the present days. And so this was really something important, and having the first handmade camera which went this new way of construction, and still from the hands of Mr. Barnack's work desk, Wilhelm Albert involved, of course. He shows the camera in his documentation. It's really something absolutely special and unique. It's a milestone in Leica history, and it's already a bit, I don't know, it doesn't sound proper to me if I say I like to have it, because I think it's not absolutely correct if one person is owning this camera, but now at least it will become a new person again, so it may find a home for another longer term, we don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely an interesting piece, and there is also the matching lens, just a lot after that camera, which
incredible.
Surprisingly came from
a different source. On the drawing you can see this lens with the diaphragm scale on the tube, on the barrel, and the lens came up and we checked and said, wow, this is a lens which had been separated from this camera for 90 years and now it's coming back together, if the same buyer will go for it.
In the same auction?
Yes.
Unbelievable, in some way, huh? Also for us,
yes.
I would say. If you look through the auction catalog, you can see a variety of limited edition cameras, and I think there is some growing interest also in that. I think that comes in waves, you know, in different eras. So do you think there is growing demand for rare limited editions? Because it started in the 1970s, end of 1970s, I would say, with an M42 in gold. And then I think it's coming back a little bit, you know, it's always a bit like up and down.
Yes, of course.
But do you think that there is a special field?
I think so.
Which is coming. And
yes, it has developed. I think when I remember in the 1990s, during Leica Solms times, there were, we always say there were 26 differently colored M6 editions, no? Platinum, gold, and with for people who have nothing to do with photography or nothing to do with Leica. And then some collectors said, "No, okay, this looks a bit like candies to me." No, but now 30 years later, this is already stuff which is has some vintage aspect. Is part of the Leica history as well, is continued by Leica Camera today as they are doing commemorative editions sometimes, occasionally, still. And so there are people who say, okay, I like to collect all these candies in all these colors which were available. And some are really rare, no? It's a difference if I talk about a camera of which 1,250 pieces produced in a limited edition, or 100 pieces, or 16, like our M3D re-edition 10 years ago. This is really then becomes challenging for a person who says, I want to collect all, say, just M6 commemorative models.
Yeah.
No, it's not something what you can buy together in 1 year. It's because some are really rare, and I think this has developed a trend that people really go for these limited editions now. What I'm not exactly convinced about is the digital M being collectible in this sense, even as a limited edition, because when there will be no repairs, and when it will be electronic waste. And an analog M camera is something which you can use for 100 years if it's serviced from time to time. And so my experience with the collectors is that a film camera, as people now say, as a limited edition is something which is much appreciated, the same as an M lens, which can last forever. A digital M, okay, there was the M100, the M60, which are also classics now, but which is maybe not that level of excitement to some people who collect M3, MP, M2, and so on. And they use a digital M, the most new one, not for use, because it's a fantastic camera to use. But maybe they don't. Not all of them, except them as collectibles.
There are certain cameras, I think, from each model, like an M9 Titanium, for example, which is a brilliant collectible, I would say, and some other digital
Walter da Silva, also Zagato. All the cameras which have a substantial change in the mechanical design and in their look. Now, if it's a completely different design of all the top plate and the body shell, then it's always something absolutely special and collectible, of course.
As we said, we had, we have in this auction so many rare Leicas and lots that could have been on the cover.
Yes.
I would like to talk about a little bit about a camera that we don't see very often, and I think is extremely interesting to share a bit of a backstory as well. It's the Leica MS.
Yes.
Military Leica for the Navy. Yes. And how many have been made? How many are there in existence that you know of? Let us hear a bit about what you know.
First of all, I would say war is the worst thing what can happen with the people. No. But military technology and also military camera equipment has a certain fascination because it's designed to withstand, in the worst case, being used in combat now somewhere. And also besides the military finish, sometime olive, sometime gray, no? Also the design, the construction makes the military cameras sometimes also already look special and look so differently from a regular model. Now you can see this is an M camera, the MS, but there's a side finder, a see-through finder, There is a handle, and it's a camera to operate single hand, from the cockpit. This is fascinating because it was never designed, a Leica camera, for a regular photographer. In the common market, been designed like this. It was a special request by the military people who wanted to have the camera designed like that it could be operated from the pilot in the plane, single hand, with the gloves, through the helmet.
So a real point and shoot.
Yeah, so to say.
Yeah.
And several technical modifications with a fixed focus length and hammer tone finish, which also Leica has taken up again for commemorative editions before. There were also the regular MD existed in hammer tone, the very first 10 pieces, but here we have a military camera, US Navy, as you said, 10 cameras completed, 5% for the testing purposes to the Navy in '64, I believe, and several tests. There is a complete folder of documents from the Naval Testing Center regarding the evaluation of the MS camera in use, and they come to several different conclusions. In the end, they didn't go for this camera and ordered a larger quantity, so this is the reason why it's also so scarce. As you can compare, we have a 225,000 M3 cameras, of which are maybe something 1,300, 1,500 black paint, some 300 in olive. Now we have 20 gray M2, and then we have 10 of the MS camera, which is not just the hammer tone finish, but is also an entirely different design. And it's a military application, so it's many click boxes which you can set on this camera. It's not just the rarity. It's not just a military camera, it's not just the design, not just the different finish, but it's all together in one piece. And so this is really, really something fascinating, and obviously missing in most, even major collections, as maybe, I think, 4 or 5 we know to exist. This one appeared somewhere 2 years ago, and last year it came to us, and it's the first one to be offered at auction in such a complete state, and as such a complete outfit, which
with the finder and the motor and the grip and, and everything.
No, it's really with all the respect to the Olive M and to the Blue M2, but the MS is something really fascinating.
So 4 or 5 maybe are known to exist, of 10 produced. So a tiny fraction of all the M cameras in existence, and built for a special purpose. No? Oops.
Einfach den Satz nochmal.
So only 4 or 5 cameras are known to exist out of 10 produced. And as you said, compared to all the M cameras ever made, just a tiny fraction.
And if you put all the 5 collectors on one table, it's a small table.
Small round table.
It's really. There are people fascinated by rarity. No, I've produced one book. The title is Rare Leica, because there are people who want to collect everything. No, one sample of every model, and other people say, no, I'm excited because it's just 20 in the world, and I'm one of the 20. No, this is a typical.
I understand that way of collecting, but it's also extremely rare if you have a serial production model which was intended for regular use, which was not a collectible at its time. It was a tool for work. If it's a watch or a camera, it was a tool for work. And if you have such camera like a regular M3 in brand new condition,
like last year,
with the maker's box and all the papers sealed and everything sealed, it's like one of 100,000.
Maybe.
that's also rare, but
Absolutely.
not a very rare camera in particular, I would say. So,
and or condition. It can also, if it's not with the packing, but
yes.
if it's really, we found, you know, some cameras from the 1930s, and it's original finish, never restored, so physically as born, delivery condition still, but no use. You can take a magnifier and a strong light, and you don't see any use. This is fascinating, even if it's a Leica 3, of which I don't know, some 10,000's been produced, of course.
Yeah. Besides those major rarities now, which could all have been covered, is there something small, you know, not for the millions or hundreds of thousands of euros, which is exciting for you? A small accessory, a little lens which is maybe overlooked within our beautiful catalog.
There are lens collectors who watch everything, not only what we have, but what is everywhere. This is, I think, there is no hidden treasure so far. Also with our catalog, I mean, lately when people read our description, they understand what and how rare it really is. Whatever. No, what I particularly like is the 5 centimeter brilliant finder with a parallax control, because they all were designed like this. If it's the 85 for the famous Sumarex, the 90, the 135, all look like this. And the 50 was just the SPOI on sale in the regular catalog delivery program, which didn't have a parallax control, as the wide angle finders didn't have that, because for the 50, maybe then the lights people thought, it's okay to stay as a fixed perspective frame without parallax control. However, they produced a few, I think 10 or 20 hand samples. It's also documented on the Wilhelm Albert book. It looks like a longer focal length bright line finder with a parallax control, but is a 50 with a big optics inside. It's a beautiful piece, absolutely. And is obviously something, it's an affordable collectible because it's not something so much expensive. It will be expensive, but not like a super rare M camera, because it is just a finder. There are people, by the way, collecting just finders.
Just finders, yeah. Or just accessories in particular. Yeah. I think that's a never-ending story or project with Leica.
This is so fascinating that some prototypes can appear which have never been seen before. It's it never stops. No, we have, if you go to J. Lager book or other people publications who really show 26 variations of something, and it can appear a 27th one, and you see, wow, what is that? And that maybe just a hand sample or 2 or 3 pieces what they tried to make, and in the end they just didn't go for it. But it's there, it's physically there, and this makes also Leica collecting so much fascinating. Of course.
Yeah. I think I'm just saying it here as well because I thought about what's overlooked maybe, and I've seen there was growing interest in the Stema, for example, in the stereo lens. Because we've seen for years a bit of a price decrease, and now we see a bit of an increase again, and there is growing interest for stereo, which I think was on some backside, you know, or on the side of many collectors, but now it gains more interest again, which I think is worth having a look at.
Absolutely. Again. Yeah, the double lenses is something which I personally like extremely much, because it looks human. It's like 2 eyes which look to you when you have the camera with the Stema here. And I remember the Stema was really a collectible which was sought for by collectors. Just the regular Canadian with 1,000 units produced, which is the most common. All other lights, stereo lenses are more rare, not to talk about the wartime period when they are extremely rare, but also the 3.3 centimeter Wetzlar and so on is really rare. But in the last years, you are right, it was always more something what people bought, but nobody really got excited. I think people have started to set this on the digital M and have the stereo image on the iMac now, and this is something what immediately then makes a trend, makes a fashion. I think.
Bit of a noise.
I was a bit scared, by the way, when the first client sitting in front of me with a steamer and the first digital M camera, and he said, "Let's try," and I was not sure because this the standout, which divides the two optical systems, it goes really deep to the film, and then on the sensor you have some filter and so on, but it worked. It was not
good information here.
It didn't crack, and so there are maybe now people starting to use the steamer on the digital M. I think
it also looks different in your collection. You know, you'd have 25 black lenses or chrome lenses or whatever, and then you have a steamer with the two lenses.
With the two eyes, and looks to you.
Looks different and makes it a bit more attractive as well in some way, like a colored piece, for example.
Absolutely.
I can see during the auction, as we participate on the phone, on live auctioneers, on the console, where the bids coming live during the auction, there is a certain behavior or different behaviors of customers on the phone, on the internet. Some wait till the very last second, which is nerve-wracking for the other bidder, for us, for the auctioneer, but also very exciting.
Yes.
Some send their bids in advance. Some maybe don't have the time to be on the phone or live during the auction on the computer. Obviously, everybody is welcome to come into the auction room and raise their hands as well, live in the room. Do you see any advantage in being here, being online, being on the phone? Is there for you, is there a trick, or is there a hint for? I mean, it's different in some situations and depends on the lot and on the mood and on how the auction is going. But do you see
interesting question.
Any advantage in any?
I think first of all, there's a lot of psychology. People are different now. Every character is different, and there are people who want really to fight, who want to beat the other, and want to win. And there are people who are very careful or get also disturbed if the competition is too much. They say, "Ah, no, okay, then and let the other people do." Also, I stay away from that. And so it depends. We have people who come to the viewing, to the physical viewing, and get a feeling of already owning this piece before the auction. And the auction they consider then just as a procedure they have to go through. But say, it's already mine. I have decided it will be mine. And this is obviously something which a person who cannot participate in the physical viewing cannot develop in that way. On the other hand, there are people on the phone who do not like to show. To us, we know who is on the phone, but don't show to other people who they are. There are people in the room who get excited if there's a lot of competition on the phone. No? Yeah. I remember a person who was not bidding on a lot before he saw there was really people fighting, and he involved himself fighting. No, because it's sometimes a bit of sport as well, not a gambling, but a sport, a challenging sport for some people. But advantage, I don't know. If the auction is done well, as also Mrs. Hoffmann is doing the auction very well and very focused, nobody will be overseen or overlooked. No, if you bid on the phone, you have the same chance than if you place your bid in the floor. The only thing is a written bid, absentee bid in advance. Then you must know your limit. In one moment, when you transmit your form, it's your limit. No,
but it also comes first, so it's on first position.
Of course, this is something that she goes out, the auctioneer, and says, on my bid of so and so much, which is already there, not asking who is bidding
Yeah.
so and so much. This can be an advantage, of course, if it's not much competition, that people see, oh, there is somebody already. Okay, then I thought I got for the starting, maybe in the moment some other person is already on. Maybe it can be an advantage.
But not only that, also if a bit for the same value comes in through the internet or the phone, the written bit
no, has priority because it was first, of course.
Exactly.
Of course.
So
on the other hand, you can be overbid very easily without that you have any control anymore, other than you participate live or on the phone or on the floor to react and say, okay, my limit was so and so much, but however, I continue.
But I have a small hint. When I was a customer in the auction, I always recognized, and I do this in our auction as well, I see that if there is a lot going on for a very expensive lot, for example, the next lot there is some mumbling in the audience, you know, and people are excited and maybe take a picture or whatever.
Yes.
And the next lot, if you're putting your eye on the next lot, there is a very good chance you might make a very good deal.
Absolutely.
I would say.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's a quick bargain, but you might make.
If the excitement and the moaning and everything is going on so much that it's difficult to get the people be silent again, it can then somehow, getting lost some percentage of attention of some people, especially in the room.
But if you really want that lot, you know,
you can. Jump in.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And I feel very happy for the guys who get those things as well. You know. So to wrap up everything, I would say get online live auctioneers. Wetzlar Camera Auctions on October 12th. We have a beautifully illustrated catalog with detailed descriptions, loads and loads of images, detailed images. We're happy to answer any questions you might have. You can participate in the auction by phone bids, by written bids, by via live auctioneers as well, and also in the room, obviously.
Or get a plane, it's still 2 days.
Now it's 2 days. And if you have any questions, let us know. We're happy to help and answer all your questions in regards to cameras or the bidding process. I would say we're looking forward to Saturday.
Yes, with greatest pleasure.
Thanks for joining me in this new video and podcast, and hopefully we can do something like this next year as well for the auction. Stay tuned on our social media channels as well. There are previews for the auction. There are a few more videos about some rarities in our background, and keep watching. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.